Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to this week's video, and this one's all about what I like to call fish moving day. Actually, it's kind of a misnomer because it usually takes more than one day and usually up to about a week. But what happens is about twice a year, usually in the spring and fall, what I do is a lot of the fish I've been raising or fish I've been quarantining get moved out and go into clients' tanks, and I do a restock. I do obviously small restocks throughout the whole year. But like I said, twice a year, it's kind of like a major event, and a lot of the fish go out, and that gives me more room to raise up more fish, and also to pick up the odd ones that I buy, like this whole tank right here. None of those I've raised, but pretty much everything else that you saw so far are fish that I've raised myself. So what I do is just fill up a couple buckets, and also I use, when my son was young, he liked peanut butter, so I would save all the peanut butter jars. You can see one sitting there on top of the buckets, and I will also fill up those and put like if I want to, like the smaller fish, it'll go in something like that. So what I'm gonna do here is I'll just fish them all out, and like I said, it's not gonna all happen today. This is definitely going to be spread out over pretty much the entire week. I needed to get rid of a lot of fish. I needed a lot of space for, like I said, a lot of babies that are coming up, and that's there's a constant cycle, constant fish going out, fish coming in. But for all intents and purposes, that is the exact reason why I have this entire setup, just so that I can, like I said, supply healthy fish that I know aren't going to contaminate any of my tanks. And the other neat thing is, because this system all runs on one filtration system, and all the water is common, I can mix and match fish out of all the different tanks into the same bucket, and I don't have to worry about any kind of acclimation process because it is literally all the same water. So what I'm going to do here is, you can also see what I'm doing. Some of these fish aren't going to go out, and you can see I just sort out as I go along and just pick out the ones that I need. And what I'm going to do is, once I get all these fish collected, I am going to bring them to the clients. You're going to get to see a few of those tanks. Some of the tanks are going to be clean and ready for fish, but a couple of them will also just need a bit of touch-ups and whatnot. So I don't want to just show you like all the tanks that are perfect and everything's always wonderful, because it's a maintenance business. I mean, if I always showed up and the tanks were always clean, there would literally be no reason for anyone to pay me to do anything, because hey, there's no job to be done. This is the first tank. I think I showed you this one in one of the other videos for the leak-proof canister filter. It was a build I did. It's been about a year and a half now that this one's been filled up with, actually no, a little less than that, I think. Anyway, it needed a little bit of razoring of the glass, nothing major. And what I'm going to do is, like I said, because what I try and do is maintain all my water, like especially for like African cichlids here, with the same parameters, it makes delivering fish much simpler and much quicker, and I don't have to spend, like I said, 2 hours at a given place trying to acclimate the fish to the new setup. And this shot I decided to add in simply because sometimes you add fish into an aquarium and they all go hide and you can't see any of them. And this is just another aquarium. Like I said, it's a small, I think it's only like a 33 gallon, one of the smaller tanks I take care of, and it just has a few fish in it. It's kind of neat. And like I said, this is one I want to show you because tanks aren't always clean, and I got to this spot and had a bit of an algae bloom, so I needed to take care of it, so it all needed to be cleaned out. And I still needed to add the fish, but like I said, it's needed to be cleaned first. Not a big clean, because like I said, when I do these fish deliveries, I explained to all my clients that I can't really spend any great amount of time, because I don't want to leave the fish in the buckets any longer than they have to be. And so I would try to get to everybody as quickly as possible. And so I did a quick clean here, and then what I'll do is I'll come back the next day and do a proper clean on the tank. And here I'm just going to add the fish in. Then I'll top up the water and do a quick wipe of the glass, make sure that everything's presentable at least a little bit until I come back and do, like I said, a thorough clean. I decided actually to record a bit of footage of this because I had built the system about 8 years ago, and I wanted to check it against what I've already recorded and see how it was holding up over the years. And I think it's doing a pretty good job. So anyway, the fish are starting to come out again, and that's kind of cool. African cichlids are pretty robust that way, so I wasn't too worried about it. And these are all still fairly, not quite juveniles, but they're haven't really matured yet, so they will more easily get used to having new guys in the tank. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move on to one of my larger tanks. It's I think over 10 feet long, and when you put fish in a tank of this size, and with the number of large Africans in here, and like I said, some of them are quite predatory. So what I need to do is add fish slightly differently here. I find the easiest thing to do on tanks this size is to distract them. So what I'll do is I'll feed them in one end of the tank, and then while they're busy eating and doing what they would normally do every time they get fed, I will go to the other end of the tank and pour some fish in. They won't even know they've been added yet, and by the time they figure out there's new tank mates, the new guys will have had a chance to get to the bottom of the tank, find a rock to hide under, or just mill about with a bunch of the smaller fish that you can see there, and it gives them a chance to actually have a chance at survival. This tank's been around for quite a while, and you can see the Jack Dempsey there is getting really, really old. This tank is coming up, I think it's, no, not 20 years yet, no, this is 15 or 16 years old, and I think he's pretty much been in there the whole time. But I don't like to pull fish out like that. As long as the client doesn't mind, I'll let them live their lives out. Because if I pull him out, he'll just pass away anyway. And I'd just rather have him live in his own regular environment until, the time comes that he will, no longer be with us. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.